Hi, guys. Welcome back to my channel, Recaps and Reacts with me, Sarah, where I just talk about movies or shows that I've been watching or a blast from the past, whatever it may be. Today, I'm going to talk about The Valley. Yes, The Valley. So I watch a lot of Bravo. I love me some Bravo. I have not covered a Bravo show yet on this channel because I was debating if I was going to do reality TV. But yeah, I've watched this season of The Valley and I just have a lot of thoughts. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and put this on my channel. So I have nothing scripted on The Valley. This is just strictly off the dome. Yeah. So I decided to do this after I watched the season finale episode. As I'm filming this now, I have not watched the reunion yet, but I've watched the whole season, the season finale, and it prompted me to watch the whole entire season, this current season again, just so I can make sure I think I'm correct or get my thoughts together. So I'm gonna start off. Who do I want to start off with? Jasmine. So Jasmine, this season she is getting she's engaged to her fiance Melissa. So they're getting married. Yay. We love that. We love love. However, it's more so Jasmine kind of talking about her situation with Danny that happened last season. And I noticed this season Jasmine she's more vocal, I feel. However, sometimes her timing is a little off when she's mentioning things. When if there's a situation or a scenario happening where someone's arguing, she kind of comes in, and I don't know if it's her trying to have a moment or just trying to get some camera time. But sometimes her timing's a little off. Not to say what she's saying isn't valid, but I think it gets lost because just when she says something, it's a little it's just at the wrong time. And speaking like, she I do think she has some valid concerns that she feels dismissed in this group, which I would have to say at times she is. Um and yeah, the last episode, um the season finale where she kind of went off on Michelle's friend, I forgot her name, but her best friend, and her best friend called her trash, which I do not like that. But after Jasmine called her a B, but I didn't like the fact that her Michelle's best friend called her trash because of that. Not okay. But I know she came in hot at Michelle because she saw Jesse getting very emotional about Michelle possibly introducing another man to their daughter, Jesse and Michelle's daughter. And Jesse was very upset. He was expressing his feelings to Jasmine. He was very upset. And Jasmine took it upon herself to go confront Michelle about it. And again, timing off possibly could have been another way to do that because it was a lot to come at her. And I don't think Michelle and her have that great of a relationship, to be honest. Um, I don't really remember because I'm horrible sometimes with remembering previous seasons. But I feel like her and Michelle don't really have that much of a friendly relationship. I know her, Jasmine and Jesse do, but Michelle and her not so much. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Jasmine. Perhaps she'll have more to say next season. Um, but we kind of carried the whole situation with Danny and Jasmine and Melissa, that whole situation from last season into this season. So Jasmine was talking a lot about that this season. Um, let's see, who do I want to talk about next? Schwartz. Tom Schwartz is just there. I think it's nice to have a couple of the OGs from Vanderpump Rules because I watched Vanderpump Rules from the very beginning. I have not watched the new seasons or the new cast, but I watched from day one, so it's nice to see Kristen and Tom Schwartz because they are the originals from the very first season of Vanderpump Rules. So I actually didn't mind that Schwartz made they made him friend of, I think, this season. I don't know if he's actually a main cast member or a friend of, but I liked that. I think he was there last season when Jax was there. So I appreciate Tom and his his statements that he says throughout. He's kind of like the voice of reason at times and adds some comic relief. But yeah, it's nice to see Tom there. I don't really care about his relationship with, I believe her name is Kiana. Um, but we did, and honestly, they didn't really get too much into that anyway because she wasn't on the camera with him that often. But yeah, it's nice to have Tom there. He's there. Next up, I want to talk about, let's see. I'm going to talk about Zach. So, Zach is one of my favorites, if not my favorite on the show. He surprised me. I think it was the first season. I didn't think he was going to be a good addition, but let me tell you, Zach is the MVP to me of this series. And I think it was one where he got me was it was an episode him and Jax were going back and forth. I can't remember exactly what it was about. I'm sure it was about Brittany, but it was like at a house party or something. And every time Jax had something to say, Zach had something right there ready in the chamber, and Zach could read, and I loved every second of it because it almost left Jack. I think it did leave Jack speechless to the point Jax had to walk away because Zach was just getting him, just whacking him every single time, and I loved it. But Zach, he's my favorite. He is hilarious. I am going to touch on him a little bit more when we talk about Brittany, but I appreciate Zach. Zach and his partner Benji. Benji is trying to come over from Canada, I believe is where he's from, but everything that's happening now, he's having difficulties trying to come over so they can start their life together. And then, Zach is having is thinking about not sure about having children, and for Benji, that Benji wants to have children and that is a non-negotiable for him, and Zach didn't see himself having children, is not sure that he wants to have children, so that is an area of contention for the both of them. So I don't know what's going to happen with that relationship, but yeah. Is there anything else I want to say about Zach right now? Because I'm going to get more into Zach, like I said, when I bring up Brittany, but just alone, I don't think I have anything else to say about him right now. Next couple, Jason and Janet. Jason and Janet. Okay. So Jason and Janet, they are almost off this show, right? It almost feels like it. People are icing Janet out. And yeah, you didn't see them too much because people, I'm sure, like the anchors, Kristen didn't want to film with Janet. Zach, no. Basically, Yana, I think it was the first episode, the first couple episodes, Janet was kind of on an apology tour. But the problem is, and with the whole situation with what she said about Zanny last season. But the problem is with Janet, I think what gets lost a lot of the times is when she's trying to apologize, there is no emotion. There is a stoicism to her, and she doesn't seem like a likable person. Now, when I was watching this season all over again, the current season, the third season, I was watching it all over again. I thought to myself, okay, I don't think we know a lot about Janet or we didn't really get to see a lot of her or her own personal story outside of everything that happened with Nia and Danny. And I think obviously because the cast is kind of icing her out, but we didn't really see a lot with her going on. But like I said, I will say when, she apologized at the beginning of the season at Brittany's party, or no, Lala's pool party or something. It was some party. I don't know if it was a pool party, but it was Lala's party. I think one of her daughter's birthdays or something. And Lala wanted to have Nia and Janet sit down and speak, and it didn't work out. They just kind of stood out there, and Janet was like, "Well, if there's anything you want to say, you can say it." And he was like, "I have nothing to say to you." And then Janet's like, "Okay, well, this is awkward. Okay, hope you have a nice time and bye." And then when Janet went up to Jasmine to talk to her or apologize, she apologized, but then she's like, "Okay, Jasmine, well, if there's anything that you want to say, go ahead and say it." And I'm like, "Girl, that no, you can't come to somebody and then expect them to reciprocate." Like it was just too much. So that's where Janet gets lost. And so fast forward, to Mexico, and you know, we're 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 understanding that Janet has been through some trauma and why Danny triggers her because she's had a traumatic event in her life and Danny is that trigger for her. And so that's why she has reacted and why she can't really apologize to Danny or anything. And no woman should ever have to go through trauma, right? Or any type of traumatic experience with a man or whatever. But I feel like that is what is getting lost with Danny and Janet and Nia because we're just now finding out this season that Janet has had a traumatic experience in her past, which has caused her to get triggered by Danny. And she mentions that because she's going to therapy this season. So she realized that with her therapist, which is great. We all love therapy, mental health. Get get a therapist, therapize yourself. So that's great. But that is the missing link with her, Danny and Nia. And I don't think Janet has no, Janet did not tell Danny or any of that. And you know, it's hard because it's her own experience, it's her own trauma. So she wants to say whenever she wants to tell it. But that is the issue with Danny, Nia, and Janet. We're not understanding, there's a misunderstanding or a miscommunication on all of this because Nia wants an apology of what Nia and Danny want an apology of what Janet has said. And Janet's like, this is the truth. It's my truth. This is what happened. Da 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 da. Nia and Danny are like, what you're saying is extremely, extremely detrimental, um, defamatory, all of that stuff. I mean, obviously we have the examples of Jasmine and Melissa. You know, that was a big thing last season. And then Janet being in when they were in was it Big Bear? I can't remember where they were, but when they were on a vacation and she was in the pantry trying to get something, and then Danny came in her after her. I think he was drunk. I'm not 100% sure, but he came in, closed the door behind her. She felt very uncomfortable. And so we have those two examples. And I do find it interesting that at the end of the season finale, when Danny was at Brittany's party, Halloween party, and he was with Jesse or he appeared inebriated, appeared drunk. Um that there was a lady who walked past him and just kind of stared at him. And, you know, I read some things were said on Reddit that maybe there was an interaction that he may have had with the lady ahead of time as to why there was just that reaction. But I felt like the producers left that in to kind of illustrate how maybe some women may feel uncomfortable around Danny when he's drinking. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. And I'm going to get a little bit more into this a little bit later about Danny, Nia, and all them. I'll get into that later because obviously Danny and Nia have been the storyline this whole entire season. But I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Next, I want to talk about Michelle, Jesse, and Lacey. Um, I do like Jesse Lally. He's one of my favorites on the show too. I know people can say that Jesse's a douche, but there's something about him I like him. I don't know what it is. There's just something about him that he has that I just like his personality. So anyway, um, so this season we have Jesse in his relationship with Lacey. Lacey is now on the camera this season. We see her. She was not, I don't think she was able to be filmed last year, but I will say for Michelle specifically, I was happy to see her happy this season. She seemed very happy last season. She was a little difficult to watch for me. She was going through a lot though. You know, she had a divorce and going through the divorce with Jesse, and then her mother unfortunately was ill. And for a time, I didn't really too much care for Michelle, but then there was something about Jesse. Oh, it clicked for me that there was a interaction those two had, and Jesse strikes me as the person that for her, he probably talks to her a lot and twists what she says, or he will manipulate a situation very subtly and just turn it into something that it never was. And Michelle was constantly on the defense with him. And so I understood where Michelle was coming from and why she probably was the way that she was. But anyway, like I said, I'm happy to see her very happy this season. You see her smiling a lot. She just looks really happy. So it was nice to see that side of her. Um, Jesse and Lacey. Um, Actually, let me back it up. Jesse and Michelle were kind of up and down this season because, Jesse was kind of half stepping on this divorce and he didn't want to sign the papers. And Michelle's like, please just sign the papers so I can move on with my life. I'm willing to take on this $300,000 debt that you already have incurred. I will take half of that just so we can move on because I just want to be happy. And they had some sweet moments. It was a very sweet moment where they finally signed the divorce papers. They were very emotional about it. It wasn't contentional. It was just very nice. It was very sweet. And we also found out that Jesse said that he kept every single card or note that him and Michelle exchanged throughout their marriage for their daughter Isabella, so she knows that she came from a place of love. And I thought that was very, very sweet. Um, However, we now have Lacey in the chat. She's entered, and this is Jesse's girlfriend. I'm not sure how I feel about Lacey. In the beginning, I didn't too much care for her. I do think she has some voice of reason, but my problem with Lacey is she does seem like she wants to be liked by this group so much, and almost at the expense of Jesse. So one thing I do not like when partners talk down on one another in front of people. I don't like when partners talk down to themselves in private either, or to one another in private. I think there's a better way. If there is something you need to say or tell your partner, I think there is a constructive way to do it from a place of love. But what I have seen with Lacey constantly kind of belittling Jesse throughout the season, I don't care for it. I don't like the way she goes about it because every time Jesse may want to say something or says something, she will always take the other person's side. And it's very strange to me because I'm like, girl, you just got here. What are we doing? So I just don't care for it. But anyway. But she does have some moments where it seems like she could um make some sense or have good points, but I don't know. It's getting lost with this, and I just don't too much care for it. I know she's trying to find. I think from what we understand, Janet already did some research on Lacey, and she had an audition for Real Housewives of OC several times. Obviously, she didn't get on, so now she's on this show. So I think, yeah, she's trying to stay on full time, and I don't know. I don't know how I like it, and she's a little awkward at times too. Like she'll say things. I'm just like, what? Okay, girl. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about her yet. I don't know. Maybe I need to see her a little bit more on the screen. If next season if she's on. So yeah. Um, Jesse. Jesse seems the same. To me, Jesse. I will say that there's some tension between Michelle and Jesse. Michelle kept saying that it's hard for her to see Jesse and Lacey together because Jesse treats Lacey the way she wanted to be treated in their marriage. And Jesse's kind of like, tough luck, Buttercup. How did you think I felt last year when you were in your relationship? And it was in my face. Get over it. So, and I'm like, touche, he's not wrong. I get it. So, yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, like I said, these two are up and down constantly. So we'll see. But I mean, I do hope, I want to see, post divorce, them having a healthy relationship post divorce would be nice to see on camera as well. Next. Oh, sorry. Also with Jesse, I think Jesse is coming for Brittany. And I foresee next season, if there is a next season, I'm hearing that the Valley possibly got canceled. I hope not. This is one of my favorite shows because on Bravo, because I like a co-ed cast. I love a co-ed cast. I love when there are men and women on a show. Because, of course I watch all the Housewives franchises, but I want there to be like more of a co-ed cast. Summer House, The Valley, Southern Charm. I watch them all. The only show I pretty much don't watch is Married to Medicine and Below Deck. So I used to watch Next Gen NYC. I can't get with it this season. I think I'm aged out. I don't like it. But yeah. But anyway, so Jesse seems like he's trying to take down Brittany. He's throwing some seeds. He's been throwing it out this season where he's kind of been saying, Brittany has been wanting to take down Danny and Nia, and he'll say that Brittany will come in and say something, will throw a rock and then hide her hands. And I don't think he's wrong. And please remember that Jesse is besties with Jax. So aside from Zach and Jesse, they know Brittany probably better than a lot of the cast, to be honest. I even want to say Kristen and Lala know Brittany for a while, but I think with Jax and excuse me, with Jesse and Zach. Zach is Brittany's best friend. They've known each other for like 19, 18 years. Brittany keeps saying. And Jesse has known Jax since they were like, I think, modeling in New York together. So he's known Jax for a long time. So between those two, Zach and Jesse know Brittany, I feel like, more than a lot of these people on this cast. And I'm going to get into that in a few moments and why I say Jesse and Zach know Brittany very well. So and how she operates. So next couple I'm going to talk about um Kristen and Luke. So, Kristen and Luke have had issues this season. You know, Kristen's a new mother. She's coping with postpartum and being a new mother, and Luke is trying to also cope with Kristen being a new mother because she is going through some postpartum issues, and it is difficult for him to be with Kristen at times. And it is kind of hard to watch on camera because Luke seems like a very nice man. I've liked Luke every season. He's been very sweet. I like sometimes he'll check Kristen, because sometimes Kristen, I appreciate that. Um, with Luke, it started off, I thought he was gonna be like, ugh, this season, because he was like, Kristen looks great. Like, we haven't did the do in a moment. And Kristen's like, bruh, I just had a baby. I'm like, not, I don't know. I'm not even thinking about that. So it was kind of like a lot of that. But then, that was like the first couple of episodes. And then we started seeing, Luke is just struggling altogether with Kristen because she kind of lashes out a little bit when, um, she wants to stay home and be with their baby. And then Luke's like, all right, well, I'm going to go out and do XYZ. And so anytime, like, he'll do that, Kristen will sit there and be like, well, okay, I guess I'm the only one who cares about our daughter. And it's kind of like these backhanded things that she says. So I can understand how that can grate on the psyche for Luke after so long. And you can tell this man is kind of like trying to hold on. I mean, he said, pregnant Kristen is, he'd never met her before. And pregnant Kristen is a lot for him. And also, he mentions, like, how he does not like LA. He doesn't want to be there. So there's all these factors he has going on too. Whereas, and also, Kristen has a lot of factors. She has all these hormones going through her body. She's going through postpartum. She doesn't like how she looks. It's a lot. And I do understand. She says, I don't want to go out and do these things because Kaya, their baby, is only going to be, um, this age for a split second and it's over. But Kristen, the problem is you're on a reality TV show, so you kind of have to participate, and that is the issue. And it looks like they're going to make some leeway. When they were in Mexico in that Zach's party, they had some headway. They seemed happy. So I think honestly, it's just going to be a journey for these two. I don't think Luke is going to leave Kristen. I know that's one of Kristen's fears. I don't think Luke will leave her. I think if they have a second child, they may go through this again. They may not. It depends on how Kristen's body reacts. It's her first pregnancy. You don't know. Every pregnancy is different. I'm assuming. I've never been pregnant. I don't know, but I'm assuming every pregnancy is different. Clock me in the chat if not. But I think they'll be together. So yeah. Um Next, I want to talk about Brittany. So Brittany, she So she started off having a boyfriend this season who was, girl, I don't know what that was. I was like, I don't want to see this on my screen. No, ma'am. No, thank you. So I'm glad that didn't really, because she needed to let that go. Because any man up here talking about, you need to pay me for the days I'm going to be taking care of you. Girl, girl, drop him. He needs to go. That is your boyfriend. What do you mean I'm going to pay you? Like, sir, get up out of here. And also him putting his 2 cents in about stuff. So you just got here. You barely got through the door. We don't know you. We don't know you. So you need to stop. Stop chiming in on these conversations trying to get camera time. We don't know you. Stop trying to get on this show. He works in Lacey. At least Lacey is like actually a part somewhat of this cast. Sir, you are not. You are not. So anyway, so I'm glad that relationship is over. Ugh. But Brittany's on a journey, after Jax, everything, she's doing her thing, doing the single mom thing, doing it. We're doing a good job, raising Cruz in their own house. Yeah, she's doing the thing. But she got a mommy makeover. She wanted to, make herself look good because I guess there had been some Jax would speak ill of her to her, which is never okay. After, especially when for the mother of your child, like body shame her and all these things. So she got a mommy makeover and she seems like she's happy. She's trying to move on with her life. However, like I said, there seems to be a thread with Brittany this year or this season that is coming to light, that she possibly may want to, take down the takedown of Danny and Nia. So, yeah. Oh, and also, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get more into the takedown of Danny and Nia in a moment, but I do want to mention Lala. I keep forgetting to mention Lala. I should have mentioned her before Brittany, but Lala. Lala. I was excited to have Lala on this season of The Valley. She was making some appearances. I think the first couple of seasons. Obviously, like I said, I watched Vanderpump Rules from the beginning, and I know Lala will tell it like it is. And she will be that person who's not afraid to say anything. However, however, I think she did that a little too much this season. I do feel like Lala was the one that was there to move things along. So I think Lala's heart is always in the right place. I don't think there's an ulterior motive when she brings up things at all, but I think there's a little bit of a projection happening. And and honestly, I don't even think we really knew about Lala's like her own life really this season. I know her dog had passed away, they had to put her dog down. I mean, but I don't think we ever really knew what was actually going on with Lala. She was, kind of like not like, I don't want to say like Schwartz, but kind of trying to make peace with everyone. Cause she's Janet's friend. So Janet, and I didn't mention this, Janet hung out with, because there's clearly a divide. Like, Kristen doesn't want to or Kristen nor Zach wants to film with Janet or be around Janet. So Michelle, Brittany, and Lala were all with Janet, like Team Janet. So yeah, so Lala has a lot of the time has been trying to get Janet back into the fold, back into the group, trying to figure out, is there a way we can all just, you know, make peace and be okay with one another. But some moments I was like, Lala, we're doing too much. And I will mention more about all of this when I talk about Nia and Danny, because again, Nia and Danny are the storyline this season. But I feel like a lot of what Lala wants for Nia and Danny and what she says about Nia and Danny, I think there's a little bit of projection there. And yeah. So then when I want to talk about Nia and Danny. So Nia and Danny, for me, it is Nia's been the same. However, Danny, we are actually starting to see maybe some cracks, or we have seen it's cracked. Okay, so we got a little bit of what had with the whole situation with Jasmine and Melissa with Danny last season, how he made them feel uncomfortable. He may have done some things, and Janet. We knew something. Now this season we're seeing Danny, and honestly, I want to say because Jax is not on this season, we're able to see more of Danny and how Danny can be, because obviously with Jax in the mix last season, Jax, I mean, was obviously the villain. This season, Danny is that villain, it seems. So Danny drinks, and when Danny drinks, what we've seen on camera, it's a lot, and he starts. It's just not great, and I think I don't understand. So actually, let me back up before I get into the drinking of Danny. So we have Nia. They have four kids. Nia and Danny. They have four kids, four under five, and it's a lot. Nia's kind of struggling a lot. She just had their baby, and she's like, I don't think in the 5 years I've always been breastfeeding, taking care of kids. Just so she's exhausted, she's overwhelmed, and Danny keeps joking like he wants to have another child, and he doesn't. He ends up getting a vasectomy, so they don't have to worry about that anymore, but Nia is overwhelmed. And so it's been difficult, I think, watching this season because we're kind of seeing the dynamic of Danny and Nia probably at home. And it is very, Danny talks to Nia crazy. That's all I can say, because I certainly wouldn't be taking any of that. Okay. Um, but the problem is Danny, it goes to a 10 when Danny's drinking. And so the first time where we see it actually a real problem is when they're at in San Diego and they're doing the kind of like the Miss I can't remember, but like a congeniality um competition with the men. And it was just like it was all light and fun, and Nia had brought their baby, and she was supposed to be making up Danny, or putting clothes on Danny, whatever, for the competition. And Danny was just like, "What are you doing? You need to hurry up. You need to do this. You need to do that." Just kind of ordering her around and just speaking nasty. And Lala had overheard that. And Lala interjected and was like, "Listen, I'm sorry, Nia. Like, I can't listen, or to Danny, I can't listen to you talk to your wife like that." And, for some people, that is overstepping for Lala. And I'm gonna be honest, I would have done the same thing if I were Lala. If I were in Lala's shoes, I would have done the same thing, because I don't like to see a man talking to any woman that way, let alone that is your wife and you're talking to her crazy. Like, are you crazy? Like, sir, absolutely not. So I do not blame a Lala for that at all. And so that's like the first that I think of this season that we've seen where it's kind of like, ooh, I don't like the way I don't like it. And so then another example is when they're in Mexico, and I think it was Zach's party, and they were at the bar, at the gay bar, and they were dancing and all other stuff. And Danny was drunk at that point. And when they got back on the van to go back to the hotel, Danny was kind of like ordering Nia and yelling at her a little bit. And again, it's just not fun to see that. And so I think the problem with all of that is there are mixed messages, right? So we have some people saying Danny is a problem when he drinks. And then we have other people saying, Danny, we want you to drink as much as you want. Like, your drinking's not the problem. And then we have Nia, who kind of minimizes the problem. So anytime someone says, well, then everybody has a drinking problem because look at how the other people drink, or whatever, whatever. But no one gets to Danny's level when he's drinking. So we can't minimize that, Nia. But I will say everybody's sending out the mixed signals of, well, Danny, it's not the drinking that's the problem. It is the problem, because when he gets to a certain level, it's a problem. That's when his behavior becomes a problem. So I don't get when they keep saying that we want you to drink. And I'm like, yeah, within reason though. Like, if he can have like one or two and stop, when he's still enjoyable, great. But when he drinks too much, that is the problem. So it is his drinking. I don't get why they keep saying it, because that's where the confusion and the miscommunication keeps happening. And I think that's extremely frustrating, because to me, Danny's drinking is the problem. But I'm sitting here thinking, well, you're on a show, right? And that sucks that you can't drink on the show. However, sir, if I were you, I would stop drinking when I'm on camera because this ain't it. It is not a good look. And again, I have not watched the reunion yet. While I filmed this, the first part has already come out, but I have not watched the reunion. But and I didn't because I wanted to make this video before I watched the reunion, but I was like, "You please stop drinking like on camera because it just gets to it gets to a level which is just nuts." But we fast forward to or we're going back with Lala. So when I say that I felt like Lala's projecting a little bit, so a lot of what Lala's calling out, Lala used to be, have she said that she's had a drinking problem. She's been sober for 7 years. She's like, I see Danny, blah, 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 blah. And I think she's thinking that Danny has a drinking problem. I'm not able to say that at all because we only see what the editors show us and the producers show us. So we don't know really. It's edited a certain way, so we don't know. But I will say for Lala, I feel like she's projecting a lot of the times. I'm like, girl, this man has not admitted that he's had a drinking problem, so you can't really sit there and put that on him. And how you have like been like, I'm a different I'm a different person when I'm sober or when I drink. I get angry. I'm like, that's great for you, but you can't put that on Danny. And then and Danny's mentioned that he's like, we don't know each other like that, so fall back. And then also with I think the way Danny speaks to Nia, she calls that out a lot too, which the first time, like I said, was fine, but she's trying to tell Nia like he can't speak to you that way, or she doesn't like the way he speaks to her and all this other stuff. And I'm like, and she's mentioned this, those two are a package deal, right? They're a package deal. So no matter what anyone says about Danny, Nia's always going to stick up for him. And it does seem like you know, I don't know what religion Nia and Danny are, but they are a part of a church, it seems. And I grew up in a church, in a religion, and that's very subservient to men. So no, they're going to therapy. They've mentioned they're going to therapy, and I do often wonder if their therapy is through the church and might be somewhat patriarchal. So I do wonder that because I don't think they ever told us where they're actually getting their therapy from, their marriage therapy or counseling or whatever. So, and I do think it might be a little patriarchal based. So that would explain a lot as well as Nia. But I'm like, y'all, Nia's not going to break this. So please stop. Like, she's not going to villainize Danny in front of y'all. It's just not going to happen. And I feel like they keep trying to make her do that. And it's extremely frustrating to watch. And also, reminding when Nia and Nia and Lala were having a conversation. I think it was the last episode, and how Lala was kind of saying how she wanted to be friends with Nia. That Nia had mentioned again that and I forgot that she grew up kind of in a divorced home, other stuff. So for Nia, I think holding on to her marriage, she definitely wants to do that because she didn't have that growing up. So that makes sense. But what's also extremely frustrating to me to watch is the last episode in particular, and I'm pretty sure the producers told them to do that, but Danny's sitting on the couch by himself. He's clearly has had one too many. He's gone. And then Jason comes in and he's like, "Oh, it's okay if I sit here on the couch." And Danny's like, "Sure." And remember, Jason and Danny are not in a good spot. So he comes in, and then Lala and Janet follow soon after, and I'm like, "Okay." So, Lala comes over and says something like, "I heard there was something she wanted to say to me or apologize to me for," and I'm confused. Um, the long story to all this, long story short, they all get in an argument, and I think Danny does not wanna have a conversation with Janet being there. Obviously, him and Janet are not in a good spot at all. And he starts doing this, like, "Was I talking to you? Was I talking to you?" Which I don't like when men point at women, but Jason is like, "Put your finger down, put your finger down." And Danny says, "What are you gonna do with your bum leg?" I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I chuckled at that. I thought that was so funny because I was like, "What is he going to do with a bum leg?" Like, "Jason, what you gonna do, throw a crush over there? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?" I mean, I guess he could maybe reach on over and whack Danny, but I don't know. But anyway, Janet then decides to throw a drink in Danny's face and and not only that, throw the solo cup at his head. Now, I appreciate Lala calling him out or calling her out for that because, Danny just exits as he should because that can escalate into something it doesn't need to. So he just walks out and exit. I don't understand why Janet did that. I because like just like Lala said, she was like, he was doing such a good job and making himself look like a douche, and you just with that one action just overshadowed it. And I would agree with that. And so, yeah, I I don't understand. Sorry, the reason why I bring this up is because I don't understand why we chose that moment to have a conversation with Danny and Lala. Like clearly he's drunk, right? And I don't understand why they had that conversation at that very moment with him. It made no sense. I don't know if that was a producer move or what, but it was so stupid. And because Lala ends up sitting there and says he's incoherent. So why are we having a conversation with someone who's incoherent about a very tense conversation, a big area of contention for all of sitting at that table or the couches. Why are we having a conversation with him when he's drunk? This makes no sense to me. And they consistently have these conversations with Danny when he's drunk. And I'm just like, I don't understand why we're doing this. We're not having conversations while he's sober. Is it to say that Danny's never sober? There are moments where he's sober, but they don't have these conversations, and it's stupid to me. I don't get it. So that irks me to my core because I'm just like, y'all, like, oh, what are we trying to get out of this? What are we trying to get out of this? Y'all sit here and say this, y'all ain't comfortable when this man's drinking like this, and then y'all want to sit there and have like these conversations, these heavy conversations when he's drunk. It makes absolutely no sense. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah. So also, and I want to circle back again, like I said, with Nia, the takedown of Nia and Danny. So I think Kristen, Jesse, and Zach know something that we don't know about Brittany. Now we do remember where I think it's from last season where it was alluded to that Brittany said she wanted to take down Nia and Danny. And I think Brittany's problem with Nia and Danny, I think she's mentioned it, Nia and Danny is they don't present everything on camera. They don't show everything on camera. They present like they have it together, but they don't behind closed doors. Whereas, during the time when Brittany was going through everything with Jack, she's like, girl, I'm showing everything. I'm showing my whole entire life. Why aren't y'all showing y'all's lives? And I think that's Brittany's problem. And she just wants to expose, I guess, Nia and Danny. And so, how Jesse had mentioned earlier how Brittany kind of likes to throw rocks and hide her hands. Zach has also mentioned previously when they were all sitting at a table where he told Brittany, he's like, you don't like Nia. And then Kristen also alluding to at the end of the season, I forgot when where um I think they were kind of talking how Lala and Brittany seemed like they were trying to pit Zach against Kristen. And Zach was like, I believe Kristen, Brittany. And Brittany is trying to figure out as to why Zach will not believe her or won't let her say anything. And she's like, we've been best friends forever. Why aren't you letting me, like, why aren't you believing me? Blah, blah, blah. Because, girl, I think Zach knows you better than anybody. Zach does know you better than anyone. And I think he knows that you have it out for Danny and Nia, and he's not falling for it. He's like, nah, this ain't it. And so I think that's what it is. I think we don't know something about Brittany wanting to do with Nia and Danny. And I think Kristen and Zach want no parts. Okay. They want no parts of it. So yeah. And then it's also been confirmed or not confirmed, but Jax came out with a tweet last week talking about Brittany's a liar. She did want him to take down Nia and Danny like in the previous seasons. Now, take what you will. We know how Jax Taylor's past is. But, I mean, I don't understand how Jax can be the way he is and Brittany doesn't know anything or is not as innocent because and I think Jesse has mentioned that. I don't say I can be in a relationship with somebody like that or like Jax or be in a relationship with anyone at all and not know anything about him wanting to take down Nia and Dan. It doesn't make sense. So I think there's some truth to it. And I think Brittany probably wants to, um, you know, I don't take down, but like I said, expose Annie and Nia for what it is. But we're seeing it this season. I think we can see the cracks in the foundation. We can see the cracks in the foundation of Nia and Danny's marriage, or it just is what it is. I think those are my thoughts, my rambling thoughts about the Valley on this season. I'm going to do a separate video after the reunion. I typically don't like to watch reunions anymore. Y'all, I used to be on these reunions with Bravo all the time with Housewives, but I just feel like they don't resolve anything because I get whiplash. It's like we all make amends, and then all of a sudden we come to the reunion and it's like yikes. I'm just like, what? Didn't we weren't we just cool? Weren't we just breaking bread a few moments ago? Like what? But I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because they watched the season. Girl, I don't know. Y'all, I don't know, but it's wild. But I am going to be sat down for the Valley reunion, so I'm going to watch it after. Or actually, probably when I'm done filming this, I'm going to watch the first part, and I'm going to watch all three parts. The fact that they're getting three parts is quite a bit, which tells me they probably will get a fourth season. I hope so because I really enjoy the Valley. I want the fourth season. I love the dynamics of all the couples, so I hope we have a fourth season of the Valley. But yeah, so I'll be back for another video after the reunions are shot, and I'll have my final thoughts about the season of the Valley, and maybe I will change my mind on some things. We'll see. I don't know. So yeah, I'll probably do this for the other franchises because I have a problem with covering a lot of Bravo stuff because I feel like everyone covers the Housewives like episode by episode. I think I might just do like a whole season because we be going through it for like months, and you could be feeling one way this day and then feeling another way the next day about somebody. So I just like to wait until I get the whole picture before and then go from there. So I think I'll probably just do that going forward. So hope y'all are watching some other Bravo shows right now. I'm watching Real Housewives of London, which is great. Please bring back Ladies of London. I'm a little concerned. I mean, I know it's been on pause, but the fact that Real Housewives of London and it's pretty good. I don't know if Ladies of London will come back. But I'm watching Real Housewives of London, Atlanta. I'm probably do a video after Atlanta films. The the whole entire season. I'm not sure. I mean, excuse me, the whole entire reunion. I'm not sure yet. So I have my final thoughts on that. And then I think I don't typically watch Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trips, but I might watch this season because we're doing a 20-year or 20th anniversary because OC is 20 years. So they're bringing back some oldies but goodies of Housewives. So I may watch it. I don't know yet. Nini's gonna be on there for like a second, so that'd be cute. But I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. I'm not sure. And then what else am I watching? I think that's it. Oh, OC. I'm watching OC right now. It's a little bit of a struggle. And yeah, so anyway, so that's what I'm watching. So please let me know your comments and thoughts below, please. I want to know what y'all think about the Valley this season. And please no spoilers about the reunion yet in the comments. Please, I'm gonna save that for my actual reunion video when I do that after that's filmed or after the third part airs. So yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. Please come back and watch that video. Well, check out my other videos too. I like to do some scripted stuff, like some not me scripted, but I like to recap and react to or scripted shows and movies. So I'm a little baby channel right now, but we're trying to get there. Life happens. It's hard to film, y'all. It's hard. So anyway, like I said, please leave a comment, like it. Let me know your thoughts about the Valley. I really want to know. Because yeah, it's good stuff this season. So I will see y'all next time, guys. Bye.